The waiver wire period is done now, but that doesn't mean that you are done fixing your team, getting it ready for the semifinals. If you're still playing, it's a huge week. You need all the edges that you can get, and that's where we come in. We're going to help you out with the most dropped players and with the players that are still available in fantasy football. Let's go into the waiver wire rebound. All right, so each week, what we do here on the waiver wire rebound, or as many weeks as we can get things to work, is we go through all of the most dropped players and the best players that are still available. So we will start with what we call the left in the cushion players, the ones, because couch potato diary, the ones where you reach into the couch, that's, oh, hey, look at this, got a 5. These are the ones that have been dropped the most that could still have some value in your fantasy leagues this week. And we will begin, it's not an obvious start, but it's Shedeur Sanders with the Cleveland Browns, the 4th most dropped quarterback right now in fantasy football on Yahoo. It's not a great option against the Bills, I will admit that. And he is coming off of his first real dud, but if you do make it to the finals, he faces Pittsburgh, and there could be something there. So if you got the quarterback that you wanted, and you're in a pretty good spot this week, but maybe next week the matchup isn't awesome, I think Shedeur has proven that he can be a decent fantasy option out there for you. Again, just for this and the purposes of this exercise, there weren't a lot of amazing options out there. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes was the most dropped quarterback. It would be weird if I was like, no, trust me, that ACL will heal in 6 days, right? So this was kind of the best of the most dropped that were out there, the ones that are still in the cushions. At wide receiver, it's Jayden Higgins, the 5th most dropped in fantasy for wide receivers. Only 1 target last week, but he had 19 in the previous 3. It's a fantastic matchup against the Raiders team that can't cover anything. So an offense that's getting better, a player that, yes, the opportunities weren't there this last week, but a player that certainly has the talent to take advantage of a very bad Vegas Raiders team. I think you have to really celebrate that opportunity and try to take advantage of it. At running back, it's Brian Robinson, the 4th most dropped running back in fantasy. And I can understand why he is the most dropped running back, or one of the most dropped, because if you we're just looking to get past 1 week, right? And he's not the starter. But if you have a roster, again, kind of like the Shedeur situation earlier, if you have a roster that feels set and now we're just getting some safety nets in place, Brian Robinson Jr. is a very solid one to add, because if anything happens to Christian McCaffrey, he is the solid number 1 choice in that backfield. So I think of the running backs that were the most dropped this week, he was the one that kind of makes the most sense. At tight end, it's Harold Fannin Jr. with the Cleveland Browns, the 3rd most dropped tight end in fantasy. I get, again, it's a tough matchup against Buffalo, but he's been a pretty reliable target so far. And even when things are going bad, there's still going to be a volume there for him. That the Browns aren't going to have 0 passing yards this week. Probably. So let's still take advantage of a talented football player out there. I would say of the players in this, he and Jayden Higgins are the ones that could present the most value to you this week. And our defense, the San Francisco 49ers, the 3rd most dropped defense in fantasy, I don't get it. They're playing Phillip Rivers and the Colts. I don't get why people are dropping them at all. So I think that is a very good opportunity for people in the fantasy football landscape. So those are the ones down in the cushion, the ones left in the couch that we can surprise ourselves with and maybe, get a few big points in fantasy. Now, we take a look at the best of the rest. They are the diamonds in the couch, the ones that can still help you out in fantasy this week. We use the same as the waiver wire. I wasn't able to get one this week, but we use the same kind of qualifications for this as we would with all the other waiver wire things. So let's dive into this one. It is first at quarterback, Bryce Young, 19% owned, facing a Tampa Bay team that is limping toward the finish line here in the NFC playoff race. This is a massive game, so you would assume that they're probably going to play a little bit better, but Bryce Young has at least shown that he can take advantage of bad matchups and really thrive in those settings. So I think there's a pretty good outcome coming for Bryce Young this week. The next one is Tyler Shuck from the New Orleans Saints. And I know, suggesting picking up Tyler Shuck, the quarterback for the Saints, in the fantasy championships or the semifinals, is a little insane. But he's facing a Jets team that's so bad they got their defensive coordinator fired. That is so bad that even Tua playing well against them a couple of weeks ago wasn't enough to keep him with a job. So I feel like Shuck has been getting better as the season's gone on. He's more comfortable in the offense. He's more comfortable in the NFL. He is just more comfortable playing at this level right now. And so if we are desperate because we missed out because of an injury or something last week, but we were still able to advance, didn't get the waiver wire quarterback that we wanted to, Tyler Shuck, I think, can be a pretty good desperation play heading into the semifinals. At wide receiver is Adonai Mitchell with the New York Jets, 17% owned. He's had big games because of touchdowns, but big games in 2 of the last 3 weeks. It's not a good quarterback situation, but it wasn't last week, and he still had a big week. So again, if we had some injury issues and we are looking to try to save our season, I think Adonai Mitchell is a decent option here this week. At running back, it's Michael Carter, 27% owned. Banged up backfield, and it looks like he's going to be, again, the one that could be stepping up. 14 carries last week. They have Atlanta, which is a pretty neutral matchup for them. So I think because of the volume, pretty good opportunity. Just kind of plug and play Michael Carter this week. And same with Chris Rodriguez, 30% owned. He was dropped a lot last week because of injury issues, but admittedly, I was not expecting him to be eligible for this segment. Again, it's a tough matchup against Philadelphia, but that volume is just not something you're usually able to find on the waiver wire in the fantasy football semifinals. At tight end, Colby Parkinson, 22% owned with the Rams. Touchdowns in 5 of his last 6 games. Devontae Adams, who knows what his status is going to be for Thursday night's game. I think there could be some more opportunities here for a team that has struggled, actually, against the tight end in this season. So a good chance there. And odds are, that, if you're watching fantasy football content on YouTube or wherever you're consuming this, pretty good chance he was picked up in your league. I understand that, even at still just 22% owned. So another option for you is AJ Barner from that same Thursday night game. 15 targets in the last 3 weeks. And when these two teams played last, Barner had 11 targets and 70 yards. So again, I think there is a value here and an opportunity. Again, the Rams, because of the youth and the speed that they have on the defensive side, they've been pretty good against tight ends this season. But Barner is a decent safety option for Sam Darnold against a good pass rush here with the Rams. So I think Barner could have another pretty good day for Seattle. And our defense is Atlanta, 21% owned. It's not a great defense, but Arizona, again, where we're talking about Michael Carter and Jacoby Brissett and all of them. So I think, again, there wasn't a ton of options, honestly, this week, but I think this could be a decent one for you on the defensive side to help get us to the championship. So, what do you guys think? Anything on here where it's like, no, not even touching that, not even going there? Or was there someone else like, hey, what about this guy? Let me know in the comments. Ask away any fantasy football questions that you guys have. Let me know down in the comments. Or you can get at me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, all the places. You can hit me up over there. So those are the fantasy football waiver wire rebound plays for the week. Like I mentioned before, you can find me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein. We're really trying to grow things here with Couch Potato Diary. And another way you could help is by sharing this video. Hit that share button. Look, maybe we don't share it with the person you're playing in fantasy football, because that's just silly. We like to keep our hidden gems to ourselves. But you got some other people in your life who are fantasy football fans. We really want to build up the community here for fantasy football. It's been a lot of fun doing a lot of the Q&As we were able to do. I was really looking forward to that this week, but technology kind of got in the way. Hopefully we'll get that figured out and we can have those fun chats again very, very soon. And the way you can help with that is by hitting that share button. And while you're there, hit like and subscribe